Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Julia, and I know she's going to help a lot of people with this episode. So, Julia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, it's great to be here, Nick. My name is Julia Pearce. I am from Utah. That's in the western part of the United States. And what I do is talk with folks about where they are and the life they're living. So I do that in part by being a parent of a kid with a disability and also helping others after those kids have passed away. But I also work in the field of disability. I've been doing this for about 30 years, and I'm an author. So those are some of the things I do in my day gig. The other stuff I do is I love to go up and down mountains. I love to eat chocolate. I also love to read a book when I'm covered up with a nice comfy blanket. And I love to take naps. I know, it's a wide bunch of stuff, but that's what I do.
Well, it's awesome. And I like that you help parents who have children with disabilities. I like doing the same thing. Can you tell us more about your child?
Yeah, so our son, Dallin, he had a disability after surviving an illness. So that came to him when he was about 2 years old. He was born a typical little dude. He loved to face the wind, watch the fireworks, go with all of his grandparents. And then he survived an illness just before his second birthday. That started for him. He ended up in the hospital when seizures started with an unknown cause. And the doctors called it a catastrophic illness because it took all of his development when he was 2 years old. They didn't know when or how that was going to change his life, and it surely did. But as that illness continued, they didn't know if he was going to survive. And then one day he stood up in the hospital crib, and the doctors then followed his lead. So he did survive the illness. He came home from the hospital, and we started to learn about what seizures would look like, what therapies were going to come to him, including occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and all that stuff is what we called it. He didn't care about any of those things. He then continued to learn how to do most things again. He didn't have spoken language after that. He lost the ability to speak, but not to communicate. And that's part of what we started from there. He was an adventurous human. He loved to go fast, down mountains on skis, across lakes in boats, but he also loved to climb and horseback ride and do a bunch of adventurous things, along with a lifetime of disability. But it never got in his way. He kept living really big and grand, along with a bunch of other stuff. That's him. His name is Dallin, and that's who we started to live really big and fun with all for a lot of years.
That's awesome. And, it sounds like he's a lot like me. I don't let my disability stop me. I learn to live with it, and you figure out what you can do, what you're good at, and the things that are either challenging or, you can't do, which I don't look like saying I can't, but you learn how to adapt, and you learn that it's okay to ask someone for help. That's what I do. It's like, I may not be able to do it myself, but I bet I can find someone that can help me do it,
Yeah, for sure. And I think so he used sign language, one of his main areas of communication. And then we added to it, we added augmentative and alternative communication. That's AAC communication. And he added to his base of communication with sign language, but help was one of those words that he would use to when he needed it, but he also knew when he didn't need help. he also was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go do stuff now. He also told you when to stop helping him. And that was with a
Mm-hmm.
look, a glance, a dagger thrown across the room, those really powerful looks that
Mm-hmm.
everyone gives each other. So, yeah, he was a really self-determined, incredible human, which we all are. That's what we get to do, for sure.
Yeah, and can you tell us more about that second form of communication?
You bet. So, augmentative and alternative communication, that AAC, was anything he used alongside the sounds he would make. So he lost all spoken language when he had that first initial illness. So he used devices, he used picture symbols, he used actually up to 7 devices during his lifetime, and he would place them around the house. So sometimes they were a device that would be in where he was watching TV, so he could yell at us from across the house saying, hey, you got to come fast, because he was watching a
Mm-hmm.
hilarious movie. And then other times they were devices that would be in like the kitchen when he wanted to talk about what he wanted for dinner, or the way that the chips were so fantastic. It was talking about his thoughts and the jokes he wanted to tell. So he was telling us and giving us his thoughts, and also letting other people to know what he was thinking about, but also what he wanted to have happen next. It was this really powerful set of communication systems, because sometimes they weren't saying things out loud. He would have like a schedule set up. So when people came to help him, they would know what his schedule was. He would sign it. He would show them, this is what I want to do in this order, so that they were paying attention to his life. It was so many things beyond his sounds, beyond his, looking at them directly. All of that was his
Mm-hmm.
communication world.
I like that, and I love seeing parents that explore all types of communication, because there's a lot of disabilities that prevent people from speaking. So it's always good to find another way, and there's so many different ways. You know, I have a friend. His name is Joe Carr. He was actually on the podcast, and he speaks through a tablet, like an iPad. That's how he communicates. And he's excellent. He's very intelligent. We get along awesome. He's hilarious, and it was cool to be able to do a podcast with him. And it didn't make it any more complicated. He's got it down. He knows what to do. So all I did was I gave him a list of questions ahead of time. He was able to pre-program them, his answers, into his tablet, and then we just recorded a podcast just like anybody else. So, and I love doing things like that.
Yeah, and I think when Dallin first was learning his communication again, and we started with what we had at the time. So this was 30 years ago. And 30 years ago, these communication devices were available. And so we started, and it was so much fun to watch him carrying around the devices that were. So we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have tablets 30 years ago, but we sure had
Yeah.
devices. And so he was using the devices that were available 25, 20, 15 years ago, and they keep becoming more available, and it's
Mm-hmm.
fun to see what's available now. So his devices
Yep.
were everything from what is like the tablet now. It was a handheld about the size of a phone, so about the size of
Mm-hmm.
my phone, and then the same as a tablet on the size of a phone, and goes from screen to screen, and he would look for what he needed to let us know. And then he would use other things for other people. And that was the fun, is being so adaptable and saying, okay, this person doesn't have the knowledge base, so I'm going to use this other communication device or system, or go with what is happening in this minute. And that's what we all do. We go with what is in our space, and we're all communicators. And how we do it is the fun of it. That's like, it makes so much fun to be the one who laughs when the joke is happening. And that's what he did. And it's so much fun to help others do that now. I get to do that. But it's how we do it in our parties and our gatherings and our one-on-one conversations. He did it after learning how to do it from that young 2-year-old through his lifetime. He was really cool at it as well.
Yeah, that is really awesome. And you're right. We all change the way that we communicate based on the situation we're in. You know, if you're with a group of people, you talk different than you would one to one. So we all have to have that, the ways to do that ourselves, regardless of our own circumstances. So when you're working with your clients, what are a few of the things that you're helping them out with?
So what I like to do first is have them share about the person. Like, tell me who you are. Tell me who your family member is. In fact, last night I was able to do this with somebody, a family member. Like, one of my family members said, hey, can you just talk to this person? It was after hours, because this is part of life as well. We probably all do this. And I said, just, hey, just tell me what's going on. And so we talk about who somebody is. Like, let's start with who somebody is, and then tell me where you go. Like, where are we going? So our son was very active for most of his life. And can you do the same kind of communication support on a boat, as on a horse, as in the library, as when you're going to grandma and grandpa's? That might look different. So I have a conversation with people. And then it's about, so tell me what you want to do. And we call those things goals, or we call them in some of our spaces tasks. Well, a task is the same thing as what you want to do and what your goals are. But it's what you want to do. And then we can look at, so what can we have to help? And it might be something you have already. It might be your phone. If you're somebody who likes to use an app that's already available on your phone, then let's think about how we can use that in other places. But I'm not one who likes to take my phone on the boat, because what if it falls off the edge of the boat and then it becomes fish food, right? So what are we going to use in all those spaces? Because phones don't float. So that's the other piece is how do we support people in what they really want to do with who they already are becoming. And that's how I start conversations. It's how people have conversations with us. And so it's remembering we're all humans here together. It's what people did with our son, is when he was coming home from the hospital, they said, remember, he wanted to ask for a cracker before he came to the hospital. He's going to want to ask for a cracker. And that was the first thing he was looking for. And so we started with cracker. I like to start where people are. And that's an important space. It doesn't matter what my goals are. I'm not the one determining somebody else's life path, trajectory, next space. So when that conversation comes into place, I should be following their lead, always. And if then they're saying, hey, do you have any other ideas? Then it possibly could be a time to say, I have a couple of thoughts. Can I share them with you? Or here's some things to think about. And then we can say, well, there might be something else. And that's how it goes.
I like that. You're helping people get to where they want to go. You're not, you know, telling them where they should go. You're exploring where they want to go, and then you help them. You guide them to that, and that's really important. As coaches, that's just extremely important to leave what you want out of it and do whatever they want.
Sometimes it does like pull at my heart because I do have this experience with our son. And sometimes they say, so what would you do? And I say, so let's continue the conversation. Because while my heart pulls at me, I also need to stay in this other space of tell me more about what you're asking me. So tell me more about that. And it is a really powerful space. If I am able to go into another space, I was given a phrase when our son was 4 years old, and a really powerful mentor said to me, take all of the information you've been given and choose what is helpful for you right now. And so with that information, I then was able to go 10 minutes by 10 minutes. And so I try and keep that in mind. And I tell people, go 10 minutes at a time. Choose what is going to be helpful for you right now. So it's great to learn a lot of things. And then go 10 minutes. And then go 10 minutes. And remember to have fun. We forget to tell people to have fun. We got to have fun. Oh my goodness. Have some fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you do. It's important to enjoy life no matter what you're going through. And, especially with entrepreneurs or people with disabilities, things get challenging. But you need to make sure that you always take time for yourself and enjoy life as you go.
Oh, yeah. Like if we're only doing drudgery, wow. And Dallin did the same thing. He would double check us and be like, I'm going to go. It's time to go have fun. Are you coming or not? And we were like, oh, check. We're going to have fun. Like it's always time for fun.
Go.
Let's go. Yes, of course. Oh, lads. And we did have fun. We had tons of fun.
This episode of the Infinite Abilities podcast is brought to you by the one and only Infinite Toolbox, where just like all other toolboxes, we will get the job done, guaranteed. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to save time, boost revenue, or automate your processes, Infinite Toolbox has got you covered. With powerful tools designed to drive leads, expand your reach, and gain your industry secrets, we help you work smarter, not harder. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Visit us at infinitetoolbox.com. That's infinitetoolbox.com. And discover how infinite your potential really is.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening who wants to work with you, who needs your help, how can they reach out to you?
So the best place to find me is on my website. That's juliapearce.net, and it's PEARCE. So juliapearce.net. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, and I do have a YouTube channel. So along with my book, there's a YouTube set of songs that go with it, actually, because every chapter in the book has a title of a song. So there's a playlist that goes with the book because we sing in our heads all the time. We also dance a lot. So my best place is that website, and then the other places.
I like that. And then how can people find your book?
So the book is on Amazon. It's called The Boy Who Became More Than We Could Imagine. And it's also under one of my links under my website. Again, juliapierce.net.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then my slogan is your abilities are infinite. Well, what does that mean to you?
Your abilities are infinite. So when I think of that, it comes to a space with me because I'm going to pull it back to our son. He showed us that things were always there. And when I say that, I mean, when he stood up in the hospital after doctors said he may not survive this unknown illness, they never identified that illness. And then he came, and then he became that really incredible individual. And I think that when we just come to each day, our son did it after months and months of illnesses and never stopped. Then that's what it helps me be reminded of as I still continue with, so now what are we going to do? We're going to continue and do the things that other people might want to be unstoppable with us. That's what it helps me think about.
I love that. I love that so much. And then for the audience, do you have any last words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Part of what I often tell families that I meet, and I often remind myself is we think about the things we should have done. What if I had done this and what if I had done that? And I often am reminded of, if I could tell that to my younger self, I would tell myself to be kind and be grace forward and graceful to my younger self, knowing that in this minute, I'm doing what I know how to do with the information that I have. So to be kind and to be grace forward to ourselves. And then, as my mentor said to me, take what you need and keep going forward.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being on the show. It was really good.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Your Heart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.